Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. This episode is once again brought to you by our friends at Galactic Comics and Collectibles over at 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine, or at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. We welcome back Galactic Comics and Collectibles retailer Paul Eaton to the podcast to do another movie review and discussion. This time around, Shaquille O'Neal's Steel from 1997. We discussed a wide variety of topics around this Steel movie that really doesn't get as much criticism as I feel like it deserves. So check this out here on this episode of the Capes and Tights podcast, Steel movie review. But before you do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, all that stuff. You can rate, review, subscribe, all those things over on Spotify and Apple or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also visit our YouTube channel and visit our website, capesandtights.com, for so much more stuff. Yeah, this is episode with Paul Eaton, Galactic Comics and Collectibles, reviewing Steel, which is a Shaquille O'Neal movie from 1997 based on the DC Comics character. Enjoy, everyone. Happy New Year. We're back.
Happy New Year.
I'll say Happy New Year. This episode's coming out at the end of January, but
It still will be, it's still New Year.
We're in the early stage. It's the first episode we're recording of the end of the year. How about that?
Whoa, that's something in and of
there
itself.
You go.
Hey, happy 200th episode. I don't think.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think I said it yet. I don't think we've had.
Yes, thank you. Guess what?
Based on our recording sessions, I never know where we are, anyways.
It is funny because I think I recorded episode 201 before 200, and so that was kind of a weird thing. Where, like I said, if you did it in the order of your recording, it was not the 200th episode. Like that kind of thing.
Right.
And then there's bonus episodes that I've done and so on and so forth. But you know what? It's just fun.
Well, congratulations for making it so far in the.
That's it. We're done.
We have Capes and Tights merch, sort of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna do more of that. I think it just timing and stuff that is a big thing. But we're here to do our first movie review of 2025. And here's the deal, Paul. I think we're gonna do more. I'm gonna try to stick to a pretty legit schedule. Like even when I emailed some people to get some new guests on in 2025, I have said basically we're gonna try to stick to this schedule. Ready? We're gonna stick to a schedule of an episode between the two of us doing a movie review, and then 2 guests. And then an episode of us doing a movie review, and then 2 guests, and then so on and so forth. So it's every three episodes is going to be one of these things. I can be prepared
to watch even more. Let's just say bad movies.
I got a list started here now. Okay, so here's some things we'll talk about. Hopefully some of them in 2025. Hopefully some of them in 2026. The Rocketeer.
Okay, Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that's a bad movie. I loved it as a kid.
It is what it is. It's
maybe
not
it didn't age so well.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid. It was fun.
Yeah, me too.
Spawn, which that'll be a fun one, and then also just have the discussion of it's not the Red Sonja. Not the new one, which we might want to time that up because they are making one with Sydney Sweeney, and so maybe we time it up that we watch that one right around the time of that movie coming out.
I didn't even know there was an original nor a new one, so this is all fresh.
The Green Hornet.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Elektra.
Oh God.
Max Steel.
I bought Elektra when it came out, and I still to this day have not watched it.
There you go. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't have a choice.
Max Steel was a comic book related movie that was it's a 0 rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so it might be the worst movie we'll watch. We'll see. Bloodshot with Vin Diesel.
Oh yes, I haven't watched that yet. All right.
Catwoman.
Oh God.
Constantine, Ghost Rider, Hellboy.
Oh, okay, Hellboy.
Judge Dredd and Barbed Wire.
I love Judge Dredd. Oh God, Barbed Wire.
And we will be watching Daredevil and for right before the Daredevil TV show comes up here. The Daredevil with from 2000 whatever year it was. That was Ben Affleck. Affleck? Yeah, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah.
And then we'll watch some random ones. I'm trying to find that Aquaman 2006 failed TV pilot. We're gonna do that one. I like to do some ones that are randomly people didn't know they were based on a comic book. So we talked about Two Guns. There's a History of Violence. 30 Days of Night. 300. Some of those ones that are just you might know, you might not know. The fringe people might not know some of these things. And we will add more to this. This is just a quick thing because there are some ones that are missing from there. But we're going to have some fun in 2025. But we'll start this year with Steel with the one and only Shaquille O'Neal in it.
Woo. What a way to start a year, you know?
It's just,
What a way to start a
you want to
year.
know a fun fact while we start this off?
All right, let's
Did
do it.
you know that this film, in its entire run in the movie theaters, which it came out August 15th, 1997, the entire run made less than Batman and Robin did in the first weekend?
You know, that's almost impressive because Batman and Robin is not good.
No, and so that's actually it might be a lot less too. I'm thinking about this. I just saw this.
It had to have been a lot less. Yeah.
I saw this quick fun fact on the interwebs, and yeah, because I mean the whole run for Batman and Robin was $238 million. This entire run was $1.7 million.
It cost $16 million to make this movie, and it only made 1.7. It said so. I read a fun fact. This has the largest sophomore superhero crash ever. Like week 2, it brought in like a few $100,000. Yeah. And the other movie that literally tied it was the Marvels. And I'm like, yeah. How on earth can you be in the team of the Marvels and be like, well, we tied Shaquille O'Neal's Steel.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because it's based off of a DC
you might want to quit your job at that point.
So you forget the fact that it's a bad movie. Okay, so this movie is Shaquille O'Neal. It's based off of a DC property, right? So it's DC's Comics Steel, John Henry Irons.
And by based it, I'm gonna say what they use the names.
Yeah, it's like I said, loosely based. It's basically how that works in the
African American. There's like very little.
Yeah, in the 90s, it's like
little.
This is how we base a movie off of a comic book. We just basically use the name and so on and so forth. And then you have Shaquille O'Neal, who is a star. Like in general. And so you just think about all the fans of Shaquille O'Neal who plays in the NBA at this time that you would go see it. Like I feel like I have basketball fans.
Just for the sake of seeing it because Shaq was so big. Right? We have Shaq Pogs in here. Shaq was on everything.
You see that mix with the fact that it is based on a DC property, you'd think that it would have done better. I don't like advanced reviews, but like the internet wasn't a huge thing, so it's not like advanced reviews like were like on the internet and stuff like that.
We had like AOL and stuff, like we were talking. So I remember. I guess one thing I thought this came out when I was younger, like '96. I was a freshman in high school, but I remember seeing this come out and going, "I am not watching that. That looks like crap." Like, that looks awful in 1996. And I got to tell you, 42-year-old Paul isn't any more impressed with it than, like, 14-year-old Paul was. It lived up to everything I expected. Let's go with that.
Yes, it did. It did for sure.
This has more bad basketball jokes in it than Space Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Way more. I wrote it's like almost a major part of the plot.
The free throw joke. Like, okay, he's like, oh, that's why I never was good at free throws. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense to me if you aren't Shaquille O'Neal. Like, that joke is funny to those people who know that Shaquille O'Neal is bad at free throws, but like,
other than that, and then
but the character in the movie isn't Shaquille O'Neal. So why would this Steel character be bad at free throws? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And if it happened once, you could be like, haha, cute nod to that. Yeah. It was a repetitive joke, like, what, 5, 6 times? Like, it was just over and over again that he can't hit a free throw. He can't shoot from the outside. Like it's just bad. So you can start right off with the bad jokes.
It's bad comedy and bad jokes in general. Which is comedy. Which is fitting for a Shaquille O'Neal movie, though, because I like Kazam was fun, like just a fun random movie because Shaquille O'Neal is a freaking genie. Which we should just do that movie. I know it's not comic book related, but like that'd just be a fun movie to do on here.
Probably fits to the world that we live in here.
Yes,
right.
Okay, maybe 2026 we'll do it because March 6th is his birthday. Maybe we don't have time to do it this year, but maybe next year for his birthday we'll just do a Shaquille O'Neal kind of like tribute. No, but like bad. It's not like that funny. It was funny, but like that. This is like funny that it wasn't like it's one of those movies. Also, like you didn't know what it was supposed to be, what it wanted to be. Is it an action movie? No. Is it a comedy movie? So, is it
I had a few thoughts. One thought was if someone tried to explain this movie, you could just say it's a dad joke.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but this whole thing felt like a dad joke.
One big dad joke.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing's like a bad dad joke. So no, this felt very much every time there's somebody here. There was an entire part of this reminded me of like Howard the Duck. It doesn't know what it is or what it wants to be. It has no idea. Is it a comedy? Is it an action movie? Is it for kids? Is it for adults? Because it is way too corny to be for adults. It is like Power Ranger level hokey. But also, they are swearing in this left and right. There's some actual real like violence, like, you know, people dying, bleeding, you know, all of that. There was a lot of like laser pew pew cannons and stuff for sure. You know,
pew 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 pew
pew pew pew pew. But this doesn't feel like a movie for grown-ups. It doesn't feel like a movie for kids. It doesn't feel. I don't know what the hell this thing was supposed to be. It's not for superhero fans.
Nope.
If you're a DC fan, because it's not even close to, like, the hammer.
Yeah.
I was waiting. There was a scene in it where he's coming in and he grabs the hammer, and I'm waiting for that, like, all right, the steel moment. He's got the big hammer. He's gonna swing this thing. We get all the like big, enormous muscle superhero, and instead the thing pops open like a gun.
Yeah.
Why is it even a freaking hammer? Just have a gun at this point. Like, it never ever is used as a hammer, I don't think. And it looks bad. So even the hammer looks bad.
Let's go back a little bit on why this. So you know, for those who don't know, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably should have researched steel a little bit before you come in here. But it's former Army scientists, one in a steel suit, team up in Los Angeles against another who has turned bad. That's the description of the movie that's on the internet, guys. It's such a weird description of this movie. It's not wrong, but it's such a weird, like, truncated thing.
It's not wrong, but it's funny because if you go look up the description of the comics, that's not even any of it.
No, but go back. So we'll compare this to Iron Man, right? So, like, in the sense that, like, he builds this steel suit and so on and so forth. This movie, at least.
Yeah.
There was a joke online about how, like,
superhero.
There was a joke online about a kid going, "Hey, Mom, let's go see Iron Man." She's like, "Oh, we don't have that at home." And she goes home and she puts the VHS tape of steel in there. Yeah. And the idea, though, is that Iron Man in the movie is in the cave. He needs this magnetic device to keep the shrapnel from killing him, right?
Alive.
So there's a requirement, and then he sees he's a smart dude. He sees the way that he integrate a suit by using this power and so on and so forth. Yeah. And so that's the reason the suit was created.
Of being held captive, it's his way to get out.
That's the reason why the suit's created. In this movie, the suit came out of left field, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't like all of a sudden, they needed to build this. He needed to become a superhero to stop this guy. He just needed to stop this guy. Why the suit started becoming this thing where it's like, we're going to build the suit, I'm going to become a superhero, was like, it feels like it just came out of nowhere, in my opinion.
So he's working in the steel plant, right? He gets back from the military. He's working in the steel plant. So you can have the connection to him doing that. But why he decided to build a giant armored suit, he could have built. The bad guys have this Hummer. He could have just driven around a Hummer and been like Knight Rider. He could have, like, why on earth? There was never anything to build a suit. Why is he wearing this thing?
Why, if they could build a suit that's awesome like this, why doesn't she build one so she can walk?
Because she, as you find out, has the giant super chair.
Yeah, but still.
My God,
I'm like, you're building this suit. I feel like the technology is there to use, like, special things so you could walk, and I'm like, no, we're gonna build one for this 7'1" dude to fight crime.
The scene towards the end of it here, where his partner is his best friend and maybe romantically interested. I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know that.
She gets injured, right, and she's paralyzed and she's in the wheelchair, and the scene of the wheelchair at the end, the bad guys abduct her. And this thing starts firing off laser cannons, and it's all over the place. And then she's like, "Oh, you haven't." She's like, "Get out of here, quick, Sparky!" And she's like, "How quick?" or whatever the hell the stupid word line is. And she hits it, and these like they're not jets because they're just white gas, but she's like, pew, flying through. I'm like, that might be the worst scene of the movie.
Well, when he goes to visit her,
a lot of bad scenes in it. That might be the worst scene.
Well, when he goes to visit her in the hospital, when she gets transferred, and he breaks the window.
Yeah, he breaks the window,
and he's like, "We're gonna get out of here." I was like, "That's pretty bad too." I'm like, "Geez, did they just have this big honking guy, so they had to do these, like, big things?"
That's what it seemed like.
So my biggest complaint about Shaquille O'Neal, I understand the idea. So here's a fun fact. You know who was originally eyed by the writer-director to play the character?
I read about this.
Wesley Snipes. So Wesley Snipes,
it
would have been better. It would have been.
It wouldn't have been very steel accurate. I don't. Shaquille O'Neal is right for the character. But Wesley Snipes isn't a particularly tall.
No, he's not. No, he's not
at all. So for
Yeah.
I can see the casting of Steel for the size of him and what Steel is in the comics.
Yes.
But outside of that,
well, the problem I have with Shaquille O'Neal is he's this hulking big dude, right? He's a humongous dude.
He's enormous.
But his voice has no bass to it.
No.
It has like deepness to it, but there's no like, I don't know, there's no like bass. And the bass of it sounds, he doesn't sound menacing. He sounds like a teddy bear. And so like making this huge character, like I feel like if he was casting the character nowadays, they would have done some voice modulation to his voice.
He looks like it too. He has like the facial features.
Yes.
There, that he's just like, he's got like the baby face. Yeah. He's just sort of like, God love him. He's great with Adam Sandler now in these comedy roles and like everything. Yeah. But back then, no. And he doesn't have the look of Steel. He never looks like he's really gonna fight crime or stop people.
And you know that they couldn't. He did all of his own stunts.
He really doesn't look intimidating at all.
He did all of his own stunts.
He was, for what I read, he was excited to do this. He memorized all of his lines in one go. They never had to reshoot for lines.
Do you know why he did all of his own stunts though?
You couldn't find a stuntman to even come close, probably.
There was no 7'1" black stunt double that could play his character.
Well, so there you go. There's my first thing in this. The police are trying to identify this guy. We're trying to find him. I gotta tell you, an enormous 7 foot, 7'1", 7'3" black man. Probably not that hard to find. Like I know it's L.A., but still, this guy is enormous. Like you see him walking around, he stands out anywhere he goes. Like. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. It's probably him.
The couple was nice, though. The couple being like, no, it's okay. We don't want to name him. And they obviously knew it was him.
Yeah, they knew it was him.
But they're like, no. Yep. And then the cop does the same thing. Isn't it the cop from Die Hard?
It was not, but it looked like him.
Yeah.
Definitely his cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the pal from Die Hard's cousin.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Here's some more fantastic things from this movie, the highlights of this movie. So he doesn't fly. Steel flies because Steel is like Superman. He builds the suit and he makes it so that he can fly. So he has the powers of Superman. John Henry Irons, in the death of Superman, builds this thing to honor Superman. Mm-hmm. But Steel doesn't fly. So you have this enormous guy in the suit, and he gets back these people's belongings and he hands it to him, and he gets on just an escalator and starts rising like this, like he's. Like they made it like, well, he doesn't fly, but we're giving him this like idea that he's what? He's riding an escalator. Why is he riding an escalator? And then the gauntlet that he fires up and he shoots the thing, and he starts rising up, and it just looks awful. This enormous man in a giant steel suit riding up on a grapple hook. I'm sorry, it looked completely ridiculous.
Yes, it did.
And I saw that they cut the cape from the costume.
Yes.
Instantly from Steel. They were like, we're not doing a cape. I almost think a cape would have helped this a little. Mm-hmm. Like, the Steel costume looks bad. It doesn't look like Steel from the cartoon, or from the comics or the cartoon. It doesn't look like, which I know, right? We're talking special effects, 1996. Like, I get it. The Steel costume is very hard to do. But he's got the areas out there with all these guys. They're all shooting at him, and his face is all open in this thing. Like, why not make a full face shield? Why not make a Doctor Doom style? That would be more intimidating. We want you to know that it's like
you're paying him so much money that you
want him to see it, but like we don't want to see it. It would look better if not. Like he would have looked more intimidating.
You're right.
A full face plate on there, and the freaking thing would have made more sense.
So Warner Brothers
every single thing I thought about this movie is exactly what this movie was.
Warner Brothers felt the casting of Shaquille O'Neal would help them sell tickets or sell more toys and merchandise, which I don't think it probably did.
I don't think that worked.
So here's my question for you, Paul, as a person who does more DC than I do, and so on and so forth, and you knew this character at least somewhat before.
Oh, I used to read Steel as a kid, yeah.
Steel was introduced in The Adventures of Superman number 500, June of 1993, from Simonson and Bogdanove.
Yes. Yeah, Dan, right?
John.
Oh,
John
okay.
Bogdanove.
Yeah, because he always signs just Bog.
Yeah. So, 1993. This movie came out in 1996. So it was obviously filmed and optioned, but prior to that, and so you're talking 3-year-old character, and you're already taking liberties on costume. And all, it just seems like a weird thing. It seems like if they created Miles Morales and put up Miles Morales in a movie 3 years later, that it wouldn't do well because the
character's
broader,
probably not that well known.
And then the
No,
second thing is, if you're going to do that, it was literally just recently made. So like, I don't understand why you would screw with anything. Why would you mix anything up that's literally like, and it's Warner Brothers, DC, all that stuff is all together. So it's like they can do what they want basically. It's not like Simonson has any say on
right,
how
yeah,
this
yeah.
goes.
They
Just so
they
that we know
have
that
all
works.
of the rights to this thing. So why do any of this?
I don't understand it.
Um,
I just maybe I
that's
don't know
like
maybe
so looking at your like less familiar characters, like the Blade movie. A lot of people didn't know Blade was a Marvel movie.
yeah.
Nor in Blade is there any of the other real Marvel stuff. Spider-Man's
No.
not swinging by in the background, anything. But they changed Blade a lot from his original version in the comics, where he was brightly colored and he had all these
Yep.
wooden stakes and all this and that. And like Wesley Snipes was like a badass character. We changed stuff in Steel, but did not improve any of this.
Mm-hmm.
We gave Steel all these weird weapons and gimmicks. And he did feel sort of Iron Man-y. Like every time he turned around, there was a new weird gimmick in the costume. Like the electromagnet and like the behind, like he can see behind his back because he has the cameras and she's watching him. And there's just so many weird gimmicks to this suit. And I think it would have felt better if we had the villain who was at least sleazy. He was not a great actor in this per se, like not great in it, but he was sleazy. And he's building all this technology. He's a Weasley little guy. So if he's a Weasley little guy and he's obsessed with technology, if you had the massive hulking Shaquille O'Neal say, I'm going to go out there and take these weapons off the streets and I'm doing it the old fashioned way. And he's in an armored suit to protect himself, swinging a giant hammer and just being an enormous muscled dude.
Yeah.
That would have looked better.
Yes.
We could have gone with that. Instead, he's using all the same stupid technology, and the hammer's a gun for some friggin' reason, and it's just all of it is ridiculous.
Which is
It's
funny
just
because
all ridiculous.
it screams like your Madam Web. It screams your Morbius. It screams this whole that there's like 17 different writers on it. Like it screams the idea that no one could get together and figure out why.
Figure out what this is.
Yeah.
It
However,
like,
it's written and directed by the same dude.
Yeah, it's great, and that it's all run by DC Comics by Warner Brothers. It's insane that it got so far away from anything.
Yes.
Like he has a Superman tattoo, so we're like, oh, Superman. Which Shaquille O'Neal loves Superman.
I have a quote for you after you're done here. Yeah.
Is in a costume and his name's Steel, and that is about all. That was really all we got.
I feel like this is the only opportunity he had to. This is the closest opportunity he ever had to becoming Superman, and he likes Superman a lot. So like, this is like, okay, this is my opportunity.
I wouldn't blame Shaquille O'Neal for taking the role.
Well, they said Man of Steel way too many times too, because he's not the Man of Steel. The Man of Steel is Superman. So I don't like. That's the other part about it. I didn't like. It's like, oh, he's the Man of Steel. The Man of Steel. I mean, I'm like, he's not the Man of Steel. Right. I know he is, but he's not.
Doesn't exist in this world because this isn't. For some reason, this doesn't have anything to do with Superman.
So here's my question for you on the writing and directing of this film. Were you a fan of the 1977 and 1982 Hulk TV show?
I don't really remember. I remember watching it as a kid, but I don't really remember it.
With Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby and all that stuff.
I remember at the time, the one or two times I saw it, I remember being like amazed by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you develop that?
5.
Kenneth Johnson developed that, the writer and director of this movie. So they obviously grabbed someone who knew comics and knew what to do and stuff like that.
Stuff. And everyone that I've talked to that has watched the Hulk or grew up on that Hulk run said it was a great show.
Yeah.
And this was not.
So it was written and directed by Kenneth Johnson, who had developed the Incredible Hulk TV series. Okay, there's that, right? There's that connection. Who also did the Bionic Woman TV show in 1976 to 1978, as well as Alien Nation. I know what that was all about. It's
and apparently they reference Alien Nation, and I'm sure there's like a cult following because I've heard of it before, but I don't know what it is either.
He worked on the $6 billion Man.
I feel like I saw merchandise of it or something once, like a lunchbox or a shirt or something.
He wrote the story for Mighty Ducks D3.
He
directed Short Circuit 2.
I don't know if I ever saw Short Circuit 2.
He also was the director of Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century from Nickelodeon back in the, or Disney. What was that? Nickelodeon or Disney back in the day? Xenon, the
I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
Oh God, that's so awesome. I love it now. But no, so all this guy, he actually obviously knows this. It was produced, which producing roles are sometimes just, hey, I put some money up or whatever, by Quincy Jones, the musician. right?
Why?
So Quincy Jones,
Why? Because
R&B
he just loves
musician.
Steel, maybe?
No.
He loves Steel, or
He
he
probably had, I
wanted...
don't know, his record deal was his record deal through Warner Brothers, and there's just like,
Maybe.
but then obviously it stars Shaquille O'Neal. It stars, well, Annabeth Gish was also in like X-Files around the time. She
I
was a
thought she
character
looked
in
familiar. Was she in
X-Files,
Starship Troopers? Maybe not
something
Starship
like that
Troopers.
too.
Stargate. She
Something
definitely
like
the
that too.
Stargate TV show. She seemed really
Yeah.
familiar. Like
And
I
then
definitely recognized her from other roles
Judd
in the 90s.
Nelson. Judd Nelson's been in a bunch of stuff.
That was it. He was in a bunch of other stuff too.
And then R&B musician Ray J was Martin in this movie. So it's like there's like connections to a bunch of different things. And this is just one of those ones that I can't believe. I don't know. When you tell people about it, it's one of those weird movies that people know about, but they just don't like. I don't know. It's weird, and it did never really got a push. It never really.
I knew it existed, but I never watched it. Like I remember seeing the previews and just went, nope, not doing this.
Yes. Someone
Like,
goes.
I watched tons of movies growing up. Tons.
Someone on Letterboxd said that jokingly, this is obviously being facetious and sarcastic, but it was that they the Superman should sue over this movie. And it was weird. What was the creation of this character by Simonson?
The guys that actually did the creation of Steel should sue on the fact that they butchered the character so badly.
But like here's, so Steel
annihilated it. Like
Steel feels like like I said, because of the way it's named Steel and all that stuff. Suing Superman is kind of funny in that sense, but he was first appeared in a Superman comic book, so it's like people they knew what they're doing.
Yeah,
it just seemed like
Superman died, and Henry Irons the world needed a hero, and he did it to honor Superman, and all this like great background, and like the character Steel to me is always cool. Like him showing up is awesome.
So
almost like
look
the
back
Hulk
on this
appearing. You're like, oh man, here we go.
Do you obviously remember? And so Spider-Man. Was it Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home?
In No Way Home.
Oh, Far From Home was the one was right after when Iron Man died, right?
Yes.
No. Was that 3?
No, it's 2.
Okay.
Because he gets the glasses and that's what the whole thing was about. The ex-Stark employees. Yeah.
So think about re-envisioning this movie, Paul, about how Steel coming out and the beginning of this movie is Superman dying.
That might have helped this.
And then that way you bring it in, you tie it in. You don't have to worry about time. You don't have to cast a Superman.
Right.
You just talk about it. It's out there. It's
on the news.
Yes. Yep. And that this guy
today.
But for some reason, so here's the biggest thing to me is like the vendetta, the revenge, the stopping this person is known by only that group that has the weapons. And these people and like the military, like the greater American people don't know what the hell is going on and why there's this Steel character going and doing this thing. So they made it more broad and made it be like people being like, yeah, and cheering for this dude. It would have been better, but it almost felt, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know why the other one was why they chose Steel. Like where it's not like he was super popular. Right.
Not
I mean,
really.
there's not like, it's not like, no. Is he around still today?
I think he had some bit of being beloved, but I think 3 years after the fact, because he was 93.
Yeah.
I think by 96, Steel wasn't nearly as prominent.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's another thing: like they always have Steel out at night.
Yep.
And I feel like it felt like a trying to be Batman. And they talked about how they want him to be like this knight in shining armor thing, and he always shows up. But Steel's out during the day. Steel's like Superman. Is his idol. He's I don't know, like there should have been more times of him being out in the costume in daylight and stopping crime or helping people, do the building on fire routine or the car accident and he flips the car back over to save someone. Do something so that he's more than just out there at night. But then also the costume is just armor. Yes. He doesn't gain anything from it. They didn't do the Iron Man thing where he has super strength through the costume. Make him sure he's a giant muscled guy and he needs to be that to wear this thing. But put some of this technology into the fact that he is super strong with it. They have the idea they use, who cares? They use miniature pistons that they created. There's some friggin' thing that way you can lift stuff and do things that are more Superman-like and more Steel-like. Because instead he's just a jackwagon with a dumb-looking gun. Like that's all he is.
You were stuck on this gun. No,
oh my god, it irked me so much.
Do you think Shaquille O'Neal still has the suit? Do you think they let him keep it and he has it in his house?
I don't know if I'd want it. Would you want it?
Yeah.
You want to remember this?
He doesn't know. That guy is one of those ones who was just
proud of the fact that
he was just happy he was in a movie. Yeah, he was in a DC movie. So it was shot. I don't know for sure, but I would almost figure that most of these shots were done at night because he filmed most of it at night. It was shot in 31 nights because he was busy.
His schedule was really hard.
The 96 Olympics and all that stuff. And so that's most of what I could guess. Like,
or whatever. And
hey, we'll film these scenes at night because that's when he can do it. That's probably why. And again, a $16 million budget, which I mean, that seems high, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that paid Shaquille O'Neal.
I don't know. I don't know. He doesn't have much.
The other actors in this had been in other things. They weren't big actors. We didn't.
Yeah, but I also don't think that Shaquille O'Neal demands that much money.
Major villain or something.
Would you imagine that Shaquille O'Neal gets that much money for not being a big actor though? I know he's a name, but like I'm sure that's not $10 million.
The rest of it had to have gone to special effects and like damage and stuff. Like just all of the because they blew up tons of crap. I mean,
making
the helicopter
scene,
pulling up the helicopter in the middle of LA there, and it looked good as far as it looked like a helicopter blowing. It didn't look like your cheap prop like Nick Fury that we watched.
Yeah,
like the Agent of Steel, like the explosions and the ships and that stuff all looked like bad models. This looked like a legitimate movie action scene. Like could have been the scene in Die Hard when they blow up the chopper. Like it was well done. All of that stuff was well done. So I'm guessing a lot of it probably also went into effects.
Yeah, I honestly don't think it was that bad of a looking movie. Like if overall in the scheme of things, you're right. There's certain things that are just like, okay, acting was bad and overall, comedy was bad overall, the changes and all that stuff was bad. But like
the hokiness is probably a lot of the acting and the writing.
Okay, so Die Hard, made in 1988, was filmed for $25 million.
Okay, so
$8 million.
But also Bruce Willis was a huge actor at that point.
It was 10 years prior, basically, or 8 years prior. Yeah. So you also have that. But I think that to making a movie of this scale and base Warner Brothers making it, I think 15 million is probably your minimum budget. Like it's just like that's what we don't make a movie for less than 15 million. Like you have Screen Actors Guilds, you have all these different guilds and things.
You got
like
a lot of stuff.
Minimum payments you have to make people and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean, catering, you have Shaquille O'Neal on set. I'm sure the catering, craft services was probably up there.
You got to keep that athlete fed, man.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, for $1.7 million is like you sneeze nowadays and you make $1.7 million on a movie. Yeah. Like no budget movies make 1.7 million.
I'm thinking like bad Netflix series or like one shot things from Netflix probably make more than that in the grand scheme of revenue creation. Like 1.7 mil, man, that's rough. I saw that. I was surprised honestly that wasn't the very bottom dollar of money making movies for either this category of superheroes or for like Warner Brothers. Like that's a huge hit, and I don't think it made more in action figures, shirts, or is there
people
stuff buying VHSs of it back in the day? You know what I mean?
Is there a steel action figure from this movie?
Yes, there is. I had it here. There was a motorcycle one. We had the motorcycle one in here.
Kenner, 1997.
Yep, we had it on card. Shaquille O'Neal steel motorcycle.
You can buy right now for $15.90. You can buy one for $15.90 on eBay. Yep.
Yeah, I think I gave.
Oh my god, I need a steel character now for my office. Oh,
damn it, you could have had the one in here.
$25. Steel, Kenner steel movie figure. Shaquille O'Neal as John Henry, loose, holding the hammer, has a full suit on. $25. I don't want to pay that much money. This on card one though is pretty cool. I feel like I would go up to a convention or like see Shaquille O'Neal at like some sort of basketball thing, and I'd walk up with that. Screw getting a basketball signed or jersey.
Will he sign it? There's a question. Like, get out of here.
You kidding me? He made us like so. The best Shaquille O'Neal movie in history is not this movie. The best Shaquille O'Neal in history is a movie called Blue Chips, which was his first movie he ever made, and that is about basketball and college recruiting and college recruiting scandals. So
I thought this was his first movie.
No, this actually came out. Kazam came out before this too. This Kazam, then this, and then he was in Good Burger. as
Okay.
himself. He didn't play a character. He played
Right. He's
himself.
just,
If you look at his filmography, he's actually mostly playing himself in things than
right.
actually acting.
Now he's
But
almost like famous just for being Adam Sandler's buddy.
yeah, he's just
He just
he's just
he just
um,
pops up
he's
randomly and then is
famous.
Adam
I don't
Sandler's
know
buddy.
anybody's a basketball fan here. The Inside the NBA on TNT, he is famous on there because him and Charles Barkley just go at it, joking back and forth, and they're just both like these like
Right. So I'm
funny
not a
dudes.
basketball guy, but I have seen some of the Charles Barkley stuff, and I love Barkley. He's
The
great.
best clip is the fact of Shaquille O'Neal trying to get up from sitting behind the desk one time. And he tripped over a cord and almost fell. He fell. He ripped the TV off the wall. It was the greatest thing. If you have a
God.
chance, Paul, look up Shaq falling on Inside the NBA. It's a classic clip from that show. They're like going to commercial and he's trying to get up to like do something and he like trips over a cord and rips a TV down. That was when they had like a 5.0 earthquake in Los Angeles. Shaquille O'Neal falling.
Be epic if he'd gone through like some drywall, fell through the building.
You had mentioned earlier about the swearing and all that stuff. It is in that era of PG-13 movies where it was like honestly, I think Footloose was a PG movie and there was a PG-13 movie and there was swearing in it and things like that. And it was about
Yeah, I mean, this is
sexual
96.
innuendos.
Like the 80s had like all kinds of stuff.
Well, it was
allowed.
basically like there was like three levels of movies at that time. It was like, hey, just to let you know, you should let your kids know. And parental guidance was basically saying, parents, we're giving you some guidance to let you know that this might not be suitable for kids under the age of 13. Just letting you know.
Right.
It was not like so strict where I feel like it is now. And R was like basically anything goes outside of like full on hardcore sex. And then there was like the G movies, which basically means that like, hey, by the way, this is just a movie. And so like back then this was like this weird PG-13 because I looked it up when I started watching this movie, Paul. I looked up to be like, was this R-rated? Because it was like there was a moment there where it like pushed that boundaries right up to the edge.
They did a lot. They did a lot. And I feel like they may have been trying to target like teen, like what I would have been 96, like a teen boy, 14, 15-year-old. But it's too cheesy for that, I think. Like it was too hokey. It wasn't well enough done to grab that audience. And it's that side of it leans more to the 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
But then the swearing and like I said, there was enough actual violence per se of like the cops bleeding, cars getting flipped, like people dying, war scenes and stuff that you can't at the same time put it in that 7-year-old. Yeah, okay. Let the little guy watch it.
So that was cool. I mean,
it just gets lost, I think, altogether.
Well, I don't think they should never have made it R. Let's be honest. That just seems crazy.
So you're not getting that either.
I mean, making it R would have been crazy, but like I understand there was this thing, but also like who wasn't made for it. Maybe that's why the 1.7 million was a thing. I don't know what the promotion was around it either. Was it like just like a whole like after DC watched it, or like we have to release this, but damn, we're not going to put a bunch of stuff out there for it. Like
we're not going to sink more money into this.
I don't know because it could have been easy. Again,
they could have watched it and gone or did the previews like in theaters for tests and gone, okay, we're not going to sink more money into advertising this.
But think about it. I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
With an ad for this on the back.
It's a bad movie, right? And so I think that probably was said from the higher ups at Warner Brothers, like this movie sucks. So you don't want this movie out there, but we have to. This is not the same time as we have now, where they'll like kill a $30 million, $40 million movie for tax write-offs and things like that.
Tax write-off,
They'll just release this because. Think about it. If he was playing in the Olympics at the time that he was filming this, he was a good NBA player. Wouldn't just taking your entire marketing budget and put it on in between quarters at a basketball game that Shaquille O'Neal was playing in?
It'd be enough to get people to go see it. Yeah, you think basketball fans would go see it for the hell of it?
Yes.
It's like, why not? We don't. We saw the movie we wanted to see last weekend, and this weekend we don't have plans. Let's go watch it because I like Shaq and Shaq's big at this time, and obviously. So let's go just see this movie for the fun of it. And it doesn't appear that many people did that.
No, I just it's one of the greatest basketball players to play.
Any audience at all?
Yeah, I mean he was on the All NBA teams in those years. I mean it was a couple years later he won the MVP and won championships and things like that. But he was the Rookie of the Year in 1993. He was in the Olympics. Like he's a big menacing power in the NBA. And I feel like that alone, like I think that's what made people go see Space Jam number one,
Right.
the first Space Jam, because Michael Jordan was in it, and I think people went and saw Space Jam number 2 because LeBron James was in it. Like it's just,
and I think Space Jam 1 had the novelty of like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. But
the animated characters with the live action and it being combined and mixed, and like it had been a while since that came out. You know what I mean? A little bit, and it was fun to see. So let's see it again.
But for a fact that there was a bunch of people who went and saw it because Michael Jordan was in it.
Oh yeah. Well, 1.7 mil almost feels like the friends and family of everybody that had something to do with this movie.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal is probably making that much money, so he probably bought $1 million worth of tickets and just put them on.
Hand them out and sell.
No one actually saw this movie.
That's where the filming was. Here, kids, go see my movie. Right?
No one actually saw this movie.
Yeah, the theaters didn't actually have anyone in it. Shaq just bought tickets.
And this is not one of those movies, people, that after the fact that the movie came out, it's now a hit on the internet where people were like, oh, this is a cult classic kind of a movie. No. It is not. It is one of those things
I bet there's probably a good portion of comic fans that don't know this movie exists.
Yeah.
Like,
I think so.
If they were older, so they didn't see it like when I was, they were in high school. If were born in the 2000s and they're big comic book fans, they probably don't know this exists.
I would think that it's also it's so fringe on the fact that I could put it on that list. I'm not going to put it on that list, but I'm putting together a list of movies you didn't know were based on comic books. This would be on there, but I also feel like this isn't well enough known to put into that category that you knew that was based on a comic book. So there's that one, so like the one I mentioned earlier, which like I didn't even realize it. It's stupid for me because I love Matthias Santaluco, and Boom is huge. But Two Guns with Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington was based off of a comic book at Boom Studios, and so like that was one that like that movie made millions and millions and millions of dollars and had Mark Wahlberg and Dennis. Like there's this major people in this movie, and I would think that 95% of the people who went and saw that movie in theaters had no idea it was based on a comic book. That 5% are diehard comic book fan who've been in comic book going to Wednesday Warriors for most of their adult life, and so that's when they were I know that comic. But like those are the kind of things. Having a movie that no one knows about. Yes, no one knows it's based on a comic book because they didn't know about it in the first place.
Yeah, which is almost did you know that this character in comics got a movie?
Yes. But here's the deal. I would think that there's a 95% of people who've seen this movie knew it was based on a comic book character because that's the only people who went and saw it were the people who knew it was based on a comic book character.
Yeah,
so.
the diehard Steel fans out there or people that were at the LCS going, oh, yeah, I'm going to go see it for the hell of it. Hey, because there weren't a lot of superhero movies back then either. There weren't a lot out there. The Batman era stuff had kind of gone and it moved past, and the Marvel stuff hadn't really started yet. So there really wasn't a lot out there. So if you were just a comic fan and seeing it for the sake of it, like at least they made one, I'll go watch it. But
I am disappointed in the world right now.
Oh, man.
So I just was reading on the releases. I'm trying to find there's a release on Wikipedia. There's usually like this is what it makes. In the theaters, and then it tells you when it went released to DVD and so on and so forth. There isn't a DVD thing on here. It doesn't actually say it when it's released on DVD.
This movie not released. It had to have been released.
It is on DVD. It is on DVD. You can buy it.
It's got to have been. Yeah.
But the last line under critical response, Paul, it makes me frustrated. Did you ever see Kevin Costner's The Postman?
Yeah. Okay. So I read that. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Razzies, right?
Kevin Costner was not horrible in that movie. I love that movie. Screw everybody. Yeah. And that Shaquille O'Neal lost it to him. Yeah. Even if you didn't like that movie and he was a bad actor, Shaquille O'Neal was way worse in this movie.
100%. Yeah, I did not understand that. Yeah, I like The Postman. I've watched it numerous times. I thought Kevin Costner was good in it. So I don't get Kevin Costner getting a Razzie for worst actor in Postman.
This is definitely
O'Neal and Steel.
Definitely worse.
100%.
Well, it's that one of those scale things where it's like, oh, usually the coach of the year in professional sports is the one that had a shitty year last year, and then they went really big this year. It's really not the coach of the year. They just had the biggest turnaround. And isn't that like they expected so much more from Kevin Costner, and they didn't.
Right. Nobody expected anything from Shaquille O'Neal.
No one expected him from Shaquille O'Neal, so yeah.
And I mean, I was surprised to find out because I saw Postman, like I grabbed it or somebody recommended it or whatever, or I grabbed the DVD and like I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the concept. And I was surprised to find out that it was a tank of a movie for like, it wasn't well received.
Yes. No, it wasn't.
No. And that completely shocked me because I liked it.
I like that's and the two movies that people are gonna shit on me all the time about is Postman and Waterworld are two Kevin
Yep.
Costner movies that again I think part of it is they were made for so much money and didn't do well in the boxes. So like
Yeah.
Waterworld was a humongous
When
unsuccessful
Waterworld
movie
came out, it was like one
because
of
it was
my
made for so
favorite
much
movies of
money.
that summer.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was fun. I liked it. It's obviously got a bunch of plot hole
Oh
problems.
yeah,
There's a
obviously. I
lot of
mean,
weird, but overall, it's an enjoyable movie.
yeah, I
And I
thought so
gotta tell
too.
you, Waterworld overall is a hell of a lot more enjoyable than Steel was.
Yes, it
Dude,
was.
Steel was fun for being bad.
I'd
If
watch
you enjoy
Waterworld
bad
and
movies, or you want to watch something, Steel is right. You got to be right on top of the list because this was just bad.
I'd watch Waterworld and then I'd watch Postman again. Oh, and again before I'd watch this movie again.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
It's just so bad. And
I'm
so
glad I didn't sit down and commit watching this like all in, all about
with the family.
Yeah. No, I watched this while on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Like I'm on there and I got like Steel on and I'm watching it going, wow, this is just not. I'm watching it on my phone. Like I can't imagine taking the time putting this on the big screen.
Yes. No.
Like,
I
God.
watched it while I was working,
Fine.
so it's a movie. I feel like it's great. We watched it. It's checked off the list. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. There's no reason. It's not like I'm going to show Nova. Like, hey, unless he becomes a huge Shaquille O'Neal fan. Like that's the difference.
I would almost like
I'd watch
playing
Kazam
it
over
in here
again.
occasionally for fun.
Kazam. We got to watch Kazam. That's the movie you want to watch if you're Steve.
Right, and I've never watched Kazam either, so yeah, I almost think I would play this in here occasionally for fun, for conversation starter.
Okay.
Somebody coming in and what the hell are you watching? Steel. What? But no. Other than that, no. And I hope I hope if we do that, it's on like Tubi or something because I wouldn't want money invested into a streaming service to have this. Like,
I thought to myself the other day, I was like, actually thought about it this morning when I was coming to my office. I was like, should I make the requirement that I start collecting these on DVD or VHS, whatever they are? Like I have to actually own them. And then I thought to myself, but then I'd feel like I can't get some of them. Like you can't get the Fantastic Four, you can't get some of the on-air pilots and things like that. So it's like,
go on eBay and see if you can find a bootleg recorded off television VHS copy of the Fantastic Four movie. It's literally one of the old, like, just in a regular sleeve you used to buy the movies to record themselves.
Oh, it's available on VHS, dude, for $12.
Tell you what, it'd be a hell of a remark done on it.
Now I feel like I need to do it.
Go see
do
our
the
buddy
movies
Bob Tackett
on VHS. Yes, they go get Bob Tackett to do stuff. That's how we do things.
Steel drawn on the Steel movie. This is what he's supposed to look like.
We're gonna add a whole section in the wall over here of the movies we reviewed. We'll have Paul put our Bob put like a little like what our 5 stars out of 5 stars were on it, as well as the little remark on it. But yeah, that's kind of funny. So $12 for DVD, $12 for VHS. I'm never gonna watch it again. It was literally just to have a collector's item.
It'd be fun.
So having a VHS would be worth it.
God almighty. Man,
half star. We don't give zeros. I was gonna give it a 1 star because I thought, okay, there was some like so there's like again, it wasn't bad looking in my opinion for a film made in 1997.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, out of all of the movies that we'd watch, there's some of them I'd watch for the complete utter horribleness of the movie to show people.
And this didn't even hit that.
No, it didn't hit that. It doesn't have anything on me that makes me want to watch it.
I would watch Fantastic Four again for like, look how great the Doom costume is and how stupid the rest of this movie is.
Yep.
And this didn't even hit that.
And it's a DC film, so that's not me. To me, it's not like going back and watching the DC stuff. Nothing against. This is not me shitting on DC. This is me saying there's no personal connection to the character Steel.
Well,
like I didn't read any of the comics.
They made up all the other characters in it because the guy didn't want any other tie-in. So there's no like, oh, at least they did a great job on Lex Luthor or on Doomsday or on another background DC character in here because Steel was it. He's in a world by himself. So
because there's not enough characters that you could have used. There's not enough characters, and there hasn't been 60 years of comic books that you could have pulled them from.
So I'm with you, half star. I agree, and I was the same. While I was watching it through the end of it, I'm like, do I go 1 star on this? And for some reason, and I don't know, I just don't, because it's almost like they didn't try, and it wasn't so bad that it was good, and it was just bad. It was like the Captain America. It was like the 90-91 Captain America. It was just bad.
Well, I think that also the problem I have is that, and again, screw this world because of Kevin Costner winning the award of Razzie Award winning.
That's
over
ridiculous.
Shaquille O'Neal is there's not enough crap given to this movie now. After watching it,
it's
I'm
almost
like, this movie's been giving a
forgotten.
pass.
Yeah.
Like people just don't even like, oh, whatever, that movie, that's pretty funny. It's got Shaquille O'Neal in it. And that leads me to believe that if it wasn't Shaquille O'Neal acting, it would have been crapped on so much more. Because again, I think the expectation of people being like, well, yeah, of course it's gonna suck. They cast Shaquille O'Neal as the main character. It's like
it doesn't have an actual actor playing it.
Yes, like if all of a sudden a Marvel movie came out with LeBron James, right? LeBron James plays a Marvel character, we would also be like, oh, we didn't expect much. We got LeBron James to play, so I can see that. But
if Tom Brady plays Super Pro.
Yeah, like that would
the
be
next Marvel movie
watch that.
Made.
But yeah, to me, I'm like, no one gives crap enough to this movie, and so that part of me, that's another reason why I'm like, no, we have to be the people in the forefront here, being like, half star, screw this movie, this movie sucks.
We watched it for you folks.
The big question people had on Letterboxd was, why wasn't Shaquille O'Neal's steal in the Flash movie? When he was doing the whole thing, that would have been so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
You got Nicolas Cage Superman. Why don't we have Steel?
We got Nicolas Cage Superman. Why not bring back Shaq Steele? Yeah. Hell, I would have even taken Deadpool killing him.
Yes. Well, here's the deal. So here's like again another question we have here. So we just have Deadpool
Ryan Reynolds
Wolverine
pop up in LA and be like, "What the hell?"
We have Deadpool Wolverine that came out this year, and so you have that whole multiversal thing and having all that stuff. If a movie were to come out very similar in the DC world, I think this character would potentially be. I know Flash was the multiverse, but there was more of a serious multiverse with a couple of nods that were in there. Whereas it would be because obviously in Marvel, I would have loved to see some of our old Marvel movies appear in this. Some of the people that were in that Fantastic Four movie are still alive and kicking and doing things. So like, you could have had these people, Alex Hyde White, who's on the podcast. So you could have had him come and be Mr. Fantastic, in the movie. So they obviously can't do everything. It's been a long time. But I think Shaquille O'Neal, I think he would have done it. You think he wouldn't have donned the costume again for a second?
I think he probably would have. And for almost like poking fun at himself and the rest of it. Yeah, he probably would have.
Yeah. We missed an opportunity here, Paul. They
could have done it better. They could have had a really good Steel costume, and the idea that he's been fighting crime in this world the whole time, and they've been doing the costume better and better, and then have him take off the mask and it be Shaquille O'Neal under it.
I don't know if this is the lowest. It might be the lowest until we watch that Max Steel movie, because it's rated 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. This is an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. So really I would think that, like I mentioned, that no one really gives it crap enough. I mean, a lot of these reviews were obviously when the movie came out or years ago and so on and so forth.
Borderline shocked that it managed to pull 8%.
It's a 3.0 out of 10 on IMDb, which shocks me. That's way higher than I thought it would be.
How did it manage to pull that kind of high enough?
8% critics, 19% fan. So the fans thought it was better, which is usually the case. The fans usually think it's better than the critics are, and what I think I'm going to start doing is we don't have this list. I was going to start doing this. I have a section on the website for like watch order for Marvel Cinematic Universe and things like that. I think it'd be fun to start one that we put like reviews and we put our ratings and what at the time of the review, what the Rotten Tomatoes was, and we can have a ranking of like worst rated movies that we've done to the best rated movies. And obviously things like Batman Returns and all that stuff will obviously be higher.
Streaming service, the Capes and Tight streaming service that only the movies we watch are on. Like, how much is that going to cost?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that going to cost to get up there?
What we could do is put links on the website too. So if you say, "Hey, check the website out," check where all of our reviews are, and the links to the episode, so you can watch the movie and then review it, or or listen to our conversation. But also links to where to watch it. So like if it is available on YouTube, I can click that. If it's available on Tubi or whatever it may be, all the different places to find it. So I'll work on that because I think it'd be fun to do overall over the time of Capes and Tights to do. And then here's the deal: we just did 200th episode here. Maybe we'll get to the 50th episode and we'll do something special for our 50th or 100th movie review or something like that.
Yeah.
So and there are some really good movies. We've reviewed TMNT. We've reviewed Batman Returns. There are some movies Dick Tracy that fall into this category of good movies. So there is some top 5 movies.
Yeah, we have some.
But there are
good ones.
hard. And then we'll have something to reference to. 8%, like I mentioned, it could be the lowest. I'm not sure. But again, when we get to Max Steel, it will be the lowest because it's one of the few 0.
I'm like, you get Steel, you get that Cap movie, you get the Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Swamp Thing has like a cult following.
Yeah.
That watching it, I mean, maybe it's just Clive Barker fans. I feel like those 3 all sort of felt the same.
Yep.
like random superhero that doesn't really belong in any of what's going on, and none of it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Okay, so I just quickly did this, and again, it could have been different when we reviewed it, but Captain America from 1990 had a 6%, so it is lower. So this isn't the lowest movie,
Okay.
but it's down there, and
I
I
mean,
think this again
Captain America.
half star for this. This was made in 97, so 7 years later, and
Yeah,
it still was that bad.
I think
So
I think that should give it a little more, like, less we can write off to.
yeah,
Like this should have been better. This should have been better done than it was.
yes,
Like we should have learned by now,
yep.
and they didn't.
There's
I
not
mean,
enough
the
critic
costume
reviews
is
for Nick Fury, Agent of Shield.
the steel costume, just like the first scene of him where he starts stomping out, and it's just like RoboCop.
Yep.
Like,
But
and
not as
essentially
good.
that's kind
You
of what
like
he is.
RoboCop. You like RoboCop.
I
so
love
not as
RoboCop.
good.
RoboCop is much better than this. But it's like
So-
he's just like RoboCop. He doesn't fly. He doesn't. Hell, RoboCop flew in the third movie, which also is terrible. The third RoboCop movie is awful, folks. Don't watch it. But RoboCop flew, and yet fucking Steel doesn't.
Yeah, it's
Give him
the,
the cape. The cape would have looked better. Put the cape
yes.
on him. Do something. Oh my god.
the Doctor Strange movie that we watched doesn't have enough critic reviews because it wasn't the thing. Fantastic Four.
I feel like they did what they could with what they had.
Fantastic Four had 27%, which is the movie. So there's that. And then Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, also doesn't have enough critic reviews. The Swamp Thing movie from 1982 that we watched for Horror Week has a 60%, so that's actually up there. And then the Man Thing movie we watched from 2004 has a 14%. So this is still so basically it's Captain America 1990, and then this as of quick tooling around
now,
things.
when are
This
we
is the second
watching
worst.
the other FF movie?
So Fantastic Four comes out in this year. So our goal is to watch. Well, where am I going here? Daredevil. Why is it not on here? It should be right here. So it looks like we're gonna watch it sometime or for April, because it will be Daredevil.
3rd/4th Fantastic Four movie. We're gonna watch that one.
We're gonna watch the early one.
The early one, okay. Yeah. Because I would almost be interested to watch.
Well, you should. So here's the deal. Because we're gonna
watch it.
I think we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk basically the one with what's her name in it, Jessica Alba, that one to do the review. But there's gonna be references to the other one. So it's one of those things between now and April. You should probably just watch all of them to make sure you're aware of what's going on.
I've never watched the newest at this time FF movie. I just skipped right over it.
So there's Daredevil's next.
Is Michael B. Jordan played in it?
Yeah, that's the one from 2015.
Yeah, never watched that one.
So we have Daredevil next. Okay, that's gonna come out in February. Nice. We have Superman the movie.
I took my wife to that movie in the theaters.
Superman.
I think Liz and I were dating.
Or Daredevil. Okay, Daredevil. Superman you definitely did, but Superman the movie will be in March, and then I think April will be at the beginning of April will be Fantastic Four. And then from there, we'll have to just discuss. So we'll do Daredevil, Superman the movie, because also I think Superman the movie is one of those ones that's it's gonna get a semi-positive review in my opinion. I don't think that's one of those ones you can really shit all over. We're gonna have some moments of it, but honestly, we talked about it in the shop last week. Actually, it's actually well made for the time it's made.
There's parts of it that probably didn't age as well, although honestly, there's probably parts of it that age much better than Steel did.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that's our future. So we got Daredevil next. Cool. So we got it warmed up for that Daredevil, and then we'll do Superman the movie.
I went and saw Daredevil because it was that whole thing. It was a time when movies like they were starting to get a little bit of Marvel stuff. There wasn't a lot of superhero things out, right? Yeah. So I went and saw it, and at the time, I was all in. I liked it. I thought it was great. I started reading Daredevil. That's really kicked me off on more Daredevil stuff. So this will be interesting to go back and watch now, because I don't think I haven't watched it in years. So it'll be interesting to go back and actually sit down. I think I put it on one day in here, but if it stuff's on in here, I don't have any time to pay attention to it.
No.
So that'll be fun.
I guess the other question then becomes: so we're watching all this corny old.
Liz fell asleep in the theater to Daredevil.
Probably right.
She did. She fell asleep. I woke her up and she's like, "What happened? Where am I?"
So we have this discussion. We'll have to have this discussion too. Is that we've been talking about old school movies that are really bad and horribly ranked, but we're gonna with this whole Craven the Hunter, Madam Web, Morbius, a lot of these newer movies that have come out that have failed.
The Marvels tied this movie.
So a lot of these semi-new movies, we might have to disperse some of those in there just because of when Craven the Hunter is inevitably on streaming in like 2.5 weeks.
I was gonna say 15 minutes after it comes out in theaters.
I mean, took less than a month.
No tickets sold in theaters. They're like, go put it on streaming right now.
It was less than 30 days for Joker 2 to hit streaming. Less than 30 days, which is absolutely asinine.
All right, so the preview for Joker 2 came on when we were watching something as a family.
Yeah.
And Katie like covers her ears because it looks scary. So she's like, and Emma's watching and Emma goes, "What the hell is this?"
Exactly. No, the movie no one was asking for. The movie no one was asking for.
No.
A musical superhero movie, no one was, or comic book movie, no one was asking for.
Nobody wanted
But yeah, so it's 30 days. So we'll see. We were recording this a little early, so we'll see how. I mean, Craven the Hunter might be in homes by the time this actually hits your streaming. Because
what if it's great? What if everyone like raves about how great it is?
I'll tell you right now, they did $11 million this weekend as of recording this. So,
ouch.
Not far ahead of Steel.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like time and money now, 11 mil is probably pretty damn close to
1.7 million adjusted for inflation 2024. Let's see how it goes here. 1.7 million adjusted for inflation in 2024. Oh, come on. This is not like an easy thing here. Even the AI thing on freaking Google didn't have it correctly.
Oh man.
Okay, so $100. So 1,700,000 from 1997 to 2024. 1.7 million in 2024 in 97 would be about 3.5 million now. So this movie made only how much more money than
how much?
Not much.
How much? Yeah. Ooh.
That's so bad, Paul.
Yeah, that's rough.
And it's at a 5.5 on IMDb, a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes for Craven the Hunter. And according to this, it was made for $120 million and it's brought in $26 million so far. It's gonna lose money. It's gonna lose money.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to watch some of these newer ones. I'd be down for that. Like, yeah, we have done a lot of the old stuff. Like, let's do a couple of these fresh releases or things that are like prominent today.
I like, we talked about this before. Eventually we'll watch some more good movies. I think part of this is, though, it's like picking apart crappy movies is not easier, but it's more fun than being like, we talked about this for book club. It's like at some point you're
our conversation to the House of M. It was great. It was great.
Done.
Okay, we're done.
We did that for Beneath the Trees. We kind of did that too. Same thing. It was like, oh, it was great, and then it was over. And so I think having this ability to do this, and we'll bring in some guests, so some fans of the podcast, some regulars to the comic book shop, Galactic Comics and Collectibles, have wanted to do something. So maybe we'll do something around Superman or even Daredevil. We'll bring in some people. We can either bring him in remotely like this, or we can do one at the shop. But we'll have some fun with this. For sure. So another review in there, a 0.5-star review for Steel, Shaquille O'Neal, and my recommendation is to not watch it, but I think you should watch it because just get it out of your way and just check it off.
God,
but then if you watch
what my fear is like we start something, right? Yeah, it's like me having Pogs in the shop and like in resurging of Pogs. Like, what if
we re-release it?
Resurge Steel, like
they re-released.
It starts getting seen, and then Warner Brothers is like, "Holy shit, we got to bring this back."
They re-released Terrifier 3 for New Year's, Christmas Eve. And obviously it's a little money grab there, but also it's a holiday movie, so they want to bring it around the holidays. You just see all of a sudden out of nowhere, like Steel's back in theaters because resurgence from the Capes and Tights podcast review of Steel.
Somebody runs in the office at Warner Brothers. You see how many people have Googled the Steel movie from? We got to get this going again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh God, yeah. So I a little bit almost don't watch it.
Yeah, and you can, if anybody does want to watch it, it's available for renting on like your streaming things, YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, all that stuff. It's not available. Oh, I think it's actually on Tubi. It's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi? Okay, go watch it on Tubi.
No, it says currently unavailable. I lied. It's one of those ones you click on the thing.
Go into the back of your friend's closet that does comic books. They probably have a copy somewhere and borrow it because don't spend money on this.
That's what you got to start doing, Paul. renting movies from your shop of these shitty old movies that no one can get anywhere else. That you can just go in and get a VHS tape or a thing for $3 or $4 and rent.
Start having the Galactic Comic logo redone in the front row video ones, the era, and then we have them on there. Going in here and just renting the really shitty movies.
I've got the Capes and Tights Blockbuster sticker, so we could just start doing those on there.
Slapping those on them. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna get it, folks.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get in trouble for that. But yeah, we'll have links at some point. I don't know when that will be up, but maybe by the time this airs, we'll have links on the website. But another one in the books, Paul.
Yep, we survived Steel.
Yep, next up is Daredevil, people. Let's do it. Right?
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
I'm down. Yeah, I think I will be pleasantly surprised by how much I dislike Daredevil. Let's go with that. Does that make sense?
Yes, like, we'll do it. We'll do it.
At the time, I was like, "Oh, that was a great movie." Yeah, I'm guessing that probably is not going to stand true.
Hey,
I'm not going to back up. I'm going to love it like I did Batman. Like I was like, "Oh, Batman Returns is great," and we watched him. Like Batman Returns is great. Yeah, I'm going to say this is probably not going to be a high star.
Hey, maybe we should do a Daredevil book for a book club in March.
Ooh, Chip Zdarsky.
There you go.
Daredevil.
It's called the new TV show comes out then, so maybe there's a worth.
Yeah. Or we can do the Jeff Loeb Tim Sale. If you can find Daredevil Yellow, I don't know if that's in print or not, but
Kevin Smith's Daredevil.
Oh, Kevin Smith's Daredevil. Yeah.
But yeah, it's another episode in the books, and we're gonna do it again. So thanks everybody. Thanks Paul. I'll be in this week. Maybe we'll get comics. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Not looking good so far.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.